Okay, let's dive right into this. On Friday, June 13th, 2026, at exactly 5:21 p.m. Eastern Time, the U.S. Commerce Department sent an emergency letter to Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei. And this wasn't just any letter. It invoked emergency national security provisions, gave Anthropic absolutely zero time to respond, and ordered them to immediately disable their two most powerful AI models, Claude Fable 5 and Claude Mythos 5, for every single foreign national on Earth. Now, we're not just talking about enemy states here. We literally mean every foreign national anywhere in the world, even inside the United States, including Anthropic's very own non-citizen employees. Just think about this for a second. Andrej Karpathy, one of the greatest AI researchers in the world who helped build foundational tech at Tesla and OpenAI, was completely locked out of the models he actively works on just because he isn't a US citizen. Every user in India, Europe, Korea, Japan, Canada, basically 190 countries, lost access overnight. It is the absolute first time in history that the US government has retroactively banned a commercially available AI model through export controls.
But here is the part that nobody saw coming. Anthropic's CEO refused to comply. When the government asked Dario Amodei to fix the security vulnerability that triggered this massive ban, he flat out said no. So this is the full story. The most powerful AI model in the world, a government ban, a CEO standoff, and a jailbreak that the US says China already used. This is the explainer. Let's figure out exactly what happened.
Section 2. What is Fable 5? The model explained.
To really understand why this ban is so incredibly significant, we need to look at what Fable 5 actually is. Claude Fable 5 launched publicly on June 9, 2026. That was just 4 short days before the ban. And in those 4 days, it was instantly recognized as a massive step change in AI capability. Why? Well, because Fable 5 is the consumer-facing version of a model called Mythos 5. And Mythos 5 is Anthropic's absolute most advanced AI system and, frankly, the most capable cybersecurity AI ever built. Mythos 5 is what's known in the industry as a dual-use model, meaning it is extraordinarily capable at both defensive and offensive cybersecurity tasks. We're talking identifying software vulnerabilities, generating working exploit code, and conducting autonomous pen testing at levels literally no AI had reached before. Now, Mythos was already heavily restricted to a few trusted government and security organizations. Fable 5 was supposed to be the safer, guardrailed version of Mythos, with safety filters keeping those heavy, dangerous cybersecurity capabilities away from regular everyday users. I mean, just look at the numbers here. On DataCurve's Deep Sui Coding benchmark, which is essentially the ultimate test for AI programmers, Fable 5 scored 70% pass at 1. That put it 3 full percentage points ahead of GPT 5.5. By all measurable standards, it was absolutely the most capable AI coding model ever released to the public. For those 4 brief days it was available, developers all around the world were calling it a genuine capability leap for autonomous coding, security research, and long-horizon technical tasks. And then, poof, it was gone.
Section 3. The jailbreak. Bypassing Fable 5.
So here is exactly what triggered the ban. Between June 9th and June 12th, reports started circulating that Fable 5 had actually been jailbroken. Someone found a way to bypass those safety filters separating the consumer model from the unrestricted, raw cybersecurity capabilities of Mythos 5. In plain English, they tricked Fable 5 into answering as if it were Mythos, giving detailed, highly actionable guidance on cyber attacks that it was specifically designed not to provide. And the person who flagged this? They weren't just some random internet troll. It was a highly credible, trusted partner of both Anthropic and the US government. The government's position, laid out by David Sachs, was stark. The administration warned Dario Amodei directly about the jailbreak and gave him a very clear ultimatum: fix the vulnerability or voluntarily pull the model from public release while a fix is developed. And Dario Amodei refused both options. Sachs stated the administration issued the export control reluctantly after that refusal, saying the ball is in Anthropic's court.
But you know, Anthropic's counter-argument is really interesting, and it's totally on the record. They say this jailbreak is narrow, meaning it only unlocks Mythos capabilities in one very specific, limited instance. It doesn't bypass all the safety filters universally. Even more significantly, Anthropic argued that this exact same jailbreak could be applied to GPT 5.5 to get similar capabilities, and yet GPT 5.5 faces zero export restrictions. As Anthropic explicitly wrote, we disagree that the finding of a narrow potential jailbreak should be cause for recalling a commercial model deployed to hundreds of millions of people. And you know what? Both of these things can be true simultaneously. The jailbreak can be narrow, and it can still be dangerous enough that a government with national security responsibilities simply cannot ignore it. That fundamental tension right there is at the very heart of this standoff.
Section 4. The Amazon Angle. An unexpected twist.
Now,
There is a massive twist in this story that almost nobody is covering properly. The Wall Street Journal actually reported that Amazon CEO Andy Jassy personally alerted Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent that Amazon's own cybersecurity researchers had successfully jailbroken Fable 5 and found it could be manipulated for cyber attacks. Think about what that actually means. Amazon is Anthropic's largest investor. They have a cumulative $13 billion stake and a massive commitment to direct $100 billion in AWS spending toward Anthropic. The company that funds Anthropic is the exact same company whose researchers found the jailbreak, and the company whose researchers found the jailbreak is the exact same company whose CEO called the US Treasury to report it. I mean, you literally can't make this stuff up.
Let's lay out this timeline, because the sequence of events is just wild. First, Anthropic revokes testing access for SK Telecom, a major Korean telecommunications company. Word is the jailbreak was actually identified through or connected to that specific arrangement, possibly involving a Chinese group. So SK Telecom's access revocation leads to Amazon researchers independently confirming the jailbreak, which then leads to Andy Jassy calling the Treasury, leading directly to the Emergency Export Control Directive, and finally, the global ban. Now, Amazon hasn't publicly confirmed all the nitty-gritty details of what they communicated, but the sheer fact that Anthropic's biggest investor triggered its biggest crisis, that's a detail people are going to be studying for years.
Section 5. The Pentagon Backstory. Military Friction.
To truly understand why Dario Amodei completely refused the government's ultimatum, you really have to understand the history between Anthropic and the US military. Back in July 2025, Anthropic signed a landmark deal, making Claude the absolute first frontier AI model approved for classified Pentagon networks. It was a huge milestone. But in February 2026, that deal totally collapsed. The Pentagon wanted to renegotiate the terms to allow military use of Claude for all lawful purposes. And that language, it's critical, because that included lethal autonomous weapon systems and mass surveillance. Anthropic refused. Their entire founding premise is responsible AI development, agreeing to unrestricted military use, especially autonomous kill decisions, when completely against why the founders left OpenAI in the first place.
So, you see, the collapsed Pentagon deal had already created massive friction between Anthropic and the US national security establishment months before Fable 5 even launched. When the government asked Dario to fix the jailbreak or pull the model, they weren't exactly asking a neutral partner. That relationship had already broken down over exactly how far Anthropic would go to support military applications. Dario's refusal was not irrational at all. It was a principled stand. It was grounded in the exact same convictions that made him walk away from the Pentagon deal. But, principled or not, it had real-world consequences that were both completely foreseeable and extremely severe.
Section 6. The Global Fallout. Worldwide Impact.
The immediate consequences of this ban were huge. Every single user outside the US lost access with zero warning. Developers who had built production workflows and enterprise integrations relying on Fable 5 had literally everything broken overnight, forcing Anthropic to scramble and offer refunds. But let's pivot to the geopolitical fallout here, because on June 15th, Chinese AI company z.ai announced a brand new model called GLM 5.2. And they explicitly used the Fable 5 ban as proof that US AI models cannot be relied upon by international customers. The ban basically handed China's AI industry the perfect marketing weapon, proving American AI is a geopolitical weapon, not a neutral tool. Now every non-American enterprise out there has to factor in the very real risk that the US government can just revoke access overnight.
Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella actually put it best. He commented publicly with serious authority on this, saying, "A frontier without an ecosystem is not stable." The implied message there is crystal clear. Locking the world's most capable AI behind a US citizenship requirement is a massive strategic error that could easily hand the global AI market to whoever builds the next alternative. Former President Trump even told reporters at the G7 summit that negotiations with Anthropic are going well, hinting at a possible resolution. But as of right now, Fable 5 and Mythos 5 remain completely offline.
Section 7. The bigger question. Who controls AI?
Ultimately, this ban is not just a story about one AI model or one export control directive. It is the very first real test of a theoretical question that has been looming over the entire commercial AI industry for years. Who truly controls the most powerful AI systems? Is it the companies building them, or the governments of the countries they operate in? Think about it. A cybersecurity AI capable of finding zero-day vulnerabilities isn't just a productivity tool, it's a weapon. The US government firmly believes this capability cannot be allowed to diffuse globally without strict controls, just like nuclear tech or advanced missiles. Anthropic, on the other hand, argues the diffusion has already happened. Other models can already do it, and collateral damage to hundreds of millions of legitimate users is just way too high. And honestly, both positions contain genuine truth. The fact that the US government's only tool here was a blunt, emergency export control directive with absolutely zero appeals process tells you that our governance infrastructure for frontier AI is deeply, deeply inadequate. This won't be the last time a government bans an AI model. It is just the first.
Section 8. What happens next? Looking forward.
So, what's the most likely resolution here? Anthropic probably patches the specific jailbreak, the Commerce Department lifts the directive, and Fable 5 is restored to global access, though likely with some heavy new government monitoring requirements. David Sachs has been incredibly explicit about this. The administration actively wants to restore access. The ban is really just a lever to force the fix. The ball is in Anthropic's court, he said. But the real issue is what happens after. The precedent is now set in stone. The US government can and absolutely will ban a frontier AI model instantly. Every AI company knows this. Every enterprise customer knows this. The risk calculation for non-US companies building on US AI infrastructure has permanently changed. Not necessarily because the ban was unjustified, but simply because the possibility now exists and has been exercised.
And because of that, we are already seeing highly rational market responses globally. Just look at the Cohere Aleph Alpha merger in Europe, creating a massive $20 billion sovereign AI company. Look at France's aggressive push to become a standalone AI hub. Look at China's intense focus on purely domestic AI infrastructure. These aren't just nationalist politics anymore. They are highly rational responses to the stark realization that the world's most important AI infrastructure sits squarely in U.S. jurisdictions and is subject to total U.S. government control.
Section 9. Open questions. Access versus security. Fable 5 was the most capable AI coding model ever publicly released. It was available to developers in Mumbai, researchers in Seoul, and engineers in Berlin for exactly 4 days. And then it was gone. The same capabilities that made it extraordinary made it undeniably dangerous. That fundamental tension between open access and national security isn't going anywhere. So the question for every person who uses AI tools professionally is this: how much of your workflow depends on models that a government can switch off overnight? I am your host. This is The Explainer, the most important tools shaping the world in plain English every week. Subscribe and drop in the comments, was the US government right to ban Fable 5? Or did they overreach? See you in the next one.